So as you may recall or have noticed, we're celebrating different ministries on different Sundays this year. And today we're going to be featuring our Ministries of Hospitality. This ranges from everything from the Kitchen Chicks to the Ministry of Meals to the Progressive Dinner, anything that really involves food and fellowship. To that end, I have invited our former moderator, Celia, who is clearly, as if you know her, is no stranger to hospitality, and invited her to share her testimony with us this morning. Thank you, Celia.
Thank you, Pastor Seth. As Seth said, my name is Celia Rodee, and I've been an active member here at First Congregational Church for over 20 years. A few weeks ago, Seth invited me to provide a testimony this Sunday, and he told me which ministries would be featured, including the Ladies in the Loop, for which I'm the ringleader. And just an aside on Ladies in the Loop, it started because I work in the Loop, and I wanted the opportunity for fellowship for like-minded women, but I couldn't have one more assigned reading. I couldn't do anything more, but I thought I could get together periodically and eat and have fellowship with others. And so that's what gave rise to Ladies in the Loop. So you don't even have to be a lady. You can come. Anybody's welcome. It's very periodic, no obligation, so please consider taking some information and signing up. But when Seth asked me about giving a testimony, I was struck that I'm actually personally involved with 4 of the 5 ministries being featured. Not only the Ladies in the Loop, but also the Ministry of Meals, the Kitchen Chicks, and the annual Progressive Dinner. And the truth be told, I'd really love to have fellowship with the 5th group, the men's group, at lunch. And so you don't know, I might break into that one too. But my husband, Peter Cooper, and I have been an interfaith couple, and are an interfaith couple, we not have been, and we have been grateful to be part of this faith community in which we could raise and launch our 4 children, Nellie, Nathan, Alexander, and Polly. And these ministry teams have been an important way for us, and particularly for me, to live my faith. Now, at first blush, these ministries seem to have only one thing in common: food. But I want to suggest that they actually share something else that is far more central to our faith than food alone. And to do that, I'd like to share with you a Jewish parable, the parable of the long spoons, which our family has heard a few times at Congregation Etz Chaim, the synagogue in Lombard, where we also attend, and where, incidentally, we also participate in the meals ministry, although at synagogue they don't call it a ministry, but it's really the same as our Ministry of Meals. Anyway, here's the story. The legend has it that Rabbi Chaim of Ramshashak, I did mention this was a Jewish parable, right? Anyway, Rabbi Chaim was granted permission to visit both heaven and hell. With an angel for his guide, Rabbi was first ushered through the gates of hell, which he was surprised to find were made of finely wrought gold. Beyond the gates was a lush green landscape under a cerulean sky, the sounds of birds singing in the trees, with the scent of 1,000 flowers. Off to the side was a great dining hall, where Rabbi Chaim saw row after row of tables laden with platters of sumptuous food. Yet the people seated around the tables were pale and emaciated, moaning in hunger. Coming in closer, he saw that each person was holding a very long spoon, but that the person's arms were splinted with wooden slats so that they could not bend their either elbow. So each person would reach onto the platters and the pots and scoop up some delicious morsels and try to bring the food to his or her mouth. But every attempt would end miserably, with the food tumbling onto the table while the starving denizens looked on. The angel then took the rabbi to heaven. There, he encountered the same beauty he had witnessed in hell. The gates were finely wrought gold. The green landscape rolled on forever under a clear blue sky. Contented birds sang beautiful melodies, much like our choir, and flowers perfumed the air. And off to the side was another great dining hall. As far as the rabbi could tell, the same dining hall he had seen in hell just a few moments before. And there he saw the same scene. Row after row of tables laden with platters of sumptuous food, the people seated at the tables with long spoons bound to their splinted arms. But unlike hell, the rabbi was greeted with the sounds of laughter and cheerful conversation and even song. Heaven's denizens contentedly were enjoying their sumptuous meal. And as the rabbi came closer, he noticed that each person, as they reached into the pot and platter to scoop up a morsel of food, they did that just as they had in hell, but he was amazed to watch how they would then use the spoon to feed the person across the table from them. And then the recipient of this kindness would express gratitude and return the favor by doing the same and lean across the table to feed his benefactor. They all ate contentedly, sharing the magnificent feast. It was then that the rabbi understood. Heaven and hell were not distinguished by the beauty of the surroundings, nor the conditions of internment. It wasn't about the food. The only difference was the people and how they treated one another. Heaven was made heaven through kindness and fellowship. Which brings us back to food in these ministry teams. But first, I'm here today to announce that we're going to use part of the church's recently completed capital campaign to acquire long spoons and splints to be used at all meals in Pilgrim Hall in the future. Well, maybe not. No, actually, I want to draw the connection between fellowship and food. Most of us, thankfully, have enough to eat most of the time. But are we really as fulfilled or connected as when we break bread together in community? In the case of Ladies in the Loop and the men's group, we gather for a shared meal, shared fellowship, and most importantly, a chance to connect. The Kitchen Chicks is a ministry team that brings joy and sometimes consolation to our members in fellowship, in celebration, and sometimes it helps take the edge off of sorrow with our nurturing receptions. Our ministry of meals blesses both the recipients of the meals and those who prepare them. I have been fortunate to have had the opportunity to serve in both roles. For many years, Peter and I have been able to bring meals to young families celebrating the birth of a child, to ailing members fighting an illness or recovering from an injury, or to grieving families coming to terms with the loss of a loved one. Each time we felt honored and blessed to be able to bring a small token of nourishment to somebody in need. But last year, as many of you know, I have experienced my own health issues. And this past January, after surgery, which was in the middle of the polar vortex, several members of this congregation, one of you is here today, brought our family delicious dinners as I recovered. Every meal, and I mean every meal, especially that tortilla soup, Sandy Robleski, was special and delicious. And while I tried to thank each one of you who brought the meal privately, I want to acknowledge everybody publicly, everybody who participates in Ministry of Meals, for your kindness and your exquisite gifts of food. But I want to take the last few minutes to talk about a particular ministry, our annual Progressive Dinner. This is an event that's open to all members of the church community. There's no long-term commitment, one night only. And so for one evening in the fall, we gather together as a large group at one member's home for appetizers and cocktails before we split off and reassemble in much smaller groups at members' homes for a more intimate community and connection over a shared meal. And then after dinner, we reassemble at another member's home for dessert and coffee. Even though I've been participating in the Progressive Dinner for many years, every year I get to meet somebody new that I never knew before and have the chance to reconnect with longtime friends and acquaintances. Our conversations over the meals range from the profound to the silly. The food is always delicious, but every meal is made more delectable by the companionship and the fellowship that season them. During the progressive dinner, we are feeding each other's bodies and souls with sustenance and good conversation and meaningful connections. And for you introverts, and I think I'm probably talking to a few of you, I think you'll find this a wonderful time to get to know some of your fellow congregants in a more intimate and less intimidating atmosphere. And who knows? Maybe this year we'll do it with long spoons. Some of you know that I'm an unapologetic foodie. I truly do love to cook, bake, and share deliciousness with others. And I'll admit it, I'm a bit of a food exhibitionist, posting my pictures on social media. But you know, it's not the food alone that I treasure. It's really the companionship. Some years ago, I realized that connecting through meals and deliciousness is my call. And I've adopted a hashtag that a lot of you know about, and you would see it on my Instagram or Facebook page. Hashtag, build a longer table, not a wall. I believe, and my husband and I both believe together, there's always room to include more people at our table. Always. After today's service, I invite each of you to stop by the ministry team tables and consider joining one or more of these ministries. But most especially, please consider attending the all-church progressive dinner on Saturday, November 2nd. Because, you know, it's by joining together in community, and even better when we share a meal, that together we can build a longer table. Thank you.